Divine Family, and today for the Sunday Master Class of the Avyak Murli Club Season 2 English, we have with us Dr. Swapan Gupta, MBBS, MD, DM Neuro, PDF Epilepsy, Professor of Neurology and Registrar Academics, GB Pant Institute of Postgraduate Medical Education and Research in New Delhi. Welcome, Dr. Swapan Gupta, Bhaiji, to the wonderful club. And before he conducts the session, uh, let me just introduce him, though he doesn't need any introduction because he has conducted so many sessions. And but for the benefit of the audience, I would like to introduce him. Dr. Swapan Gupta is also academic council member of University of Delhi, and he did his MBBS, MD, DM Neuro from Maulana Azad Medical College, New Delhi, and secured gold medal in MBBS. He is also trained from Venice International University, Italy. After studying the advanced brain science, he got interested into spirituality and did an in-depth research into the connection between the science and spirituality, which we famously known as Science Spirituality Connect. His major areas of expertise are consciousness, brain-mind principles, thought power, sanskar transformation, stress-free living, de-addiction, and brain rewire. And he has conducted many sessions in India, across India, as well as across the globe on these topics. He is an international motivational speaker and also a guest faculty at major institutions, conferences related to science and spirituality. And many of us, I'm sure, I myself also have seen that his TV shows, including Zindagi Bane Aasan, Muskan on Peace of Mind TV channel. He has conducted, countless sessions on diversified topics for the society, and he has a YouTube channel too, which is named Brain Rewire, that deals with the mental issues prevalent in the society. And without further ado, may I now invite Dr. Swapan Gupta, MBBS, from New Delhi, to commence his session on the topic Mind with Divinity. Welcome, Dr. Swapan Gupta ji, and you can commence the session now. Thank you. Om
Thank you,
Shanti.
brother. Yeah, it's a privilege to be amongst all of you. Avyat only reading Parivar or family. You people are really, what should I say, super lucky to be reading Baba's teachings early in the morning and making your mind divine. I was given this topic to speak on mind with divinity. So let us just embark on this journey. Why and how divinity really is a blessing for all of us. I'll share with you a small presentation and then we can have some interactive question and answer session as well. Right. Okay. Mind with divinity. You see, the brain here, it's like there's so many diamonds inside. What are these diamonds? These ones, like a gold mine, like a diamond mine. You have so many diamonds hidden inside. And how these diamonds or golds are actually harnessed will be seen in today's session. Let us see today's world reality, the present time's stories. I'll share with you one of this our patient who had this problem. He came to me in this condition for last 4 years. He could not walk on his own. He had a medical condition known as paraplegia, wherein both the legs are lifeless. He had been to many doctors across the country, but no relief with any sort of medications. When he came to my hospital, I admitted him, and in just 7 days, with some treatment I call as PB, he started walking. Not just walking, he was absolutely fine. When I presented this case, when I presented this case in one of the meetings again, everybody said, "Are you a magician? You have made a person who could not walk for 4 years walk in just 7 days." What was that magical PV treatment? This treatment was placebo. PV means placebo. So, what is placebo for those who don't know it? When we give some medicines to a person who is ill, his disease gets okay and he is happy. But in placebo, we give a pill which does not have an active medicine in it. It might have something inert substance like a multivitamin or maybe just normal saline. It does not have an active medicine within it. Still, the patient or the person gets better. How? That's a big science which the medical science is even recognizing. You know what? Placebo is not inert. This person actually had a history. What? 4 years back, he suffered from COVID and then he lost lots of his money. He had a big loss in finances, and this led to problem here, not in the body. So actually, the problem was here, psychic, which had led to problem in his legs, which we call as psychosomatic illnesses. All the other doctors were giving medicines which were acting on his legs. We actually gave him placebo, which were pills but had these things within them. The doctors were saying you could never get better. We said you will get better. We gave him hope. We gave him power. We gave him happiness, joy. This actually worked on his psychic and got his legs better. This is the power of positive thinking, positive emotions, which we recognize now. So, placebo means positive mindset. When given, it actually releases positive neurohormones which acts on various end organs, creating healing power. Creating healing power. On the other hand, if somebody thinks negative, then the chemicals become negative and they have adverse or harmful effects on various organs because brain or mind is the master organ. Then it is known as nocebo effect. The opposite of placebo is nocebo. Negative thinking now is the root cause of many illnesses. Nowadays, we see many young persons coming with heart attacks, brain attacks. What is the most common reason cited? Poor lifestyle, stress, anxiety. Happy living is a blessing for the body. So, poor thoughts lead to poor health, and these are known as psychosomatic illnesses. This is the truth of present times, where we see almost 60% of the patients coming with these illnesses with increasing events of depression, stress, panic attacks, anxiety. Secondly, another common problem nowadays in today's world is anger. If I ask in this gathering, who does not get angry? Who does not get angry? I think none of us could say, I don't get angry. But what anger causes to us? Number one, physical problems. Why? Because when we are angry, it increases the sympathetic drive in our body, which increases the heart rate and the blood pressure and results in heart attacks, brain attacks. Number two, mental problems. When somebody is angry, he cannot actually exercise judgment, he cannot actually memorize things well, he loses self control. Nowadays, young people come to us with complaints of memory loss, and one of the reasons is poor emotional control. They are more angry than happy. There's a beautiful verse in Bhagavad Gita which says, Krodha bhavati sammoha, sammoha smriti vibhram, smriti bhram paschat buddhi nash paschat pranashayati. It means when there is anger, it leads to lack of judgment. Then it leads to bewilderment of memory, and then loss of intelligence. And somebody who has his mind shut down, he cannot take right decisions, and the life is destroyed. Anger also leads to social and economic problems. You know, these kind of scenes are very common nowadays on roads, even in houses. Small trivial issues, but lots of anger, spoiled relationships, kin killing. Now brothers are after blood of brothers, impulsive financial decisions because of anger or stress, whatever you call it. There's a big science how it happens, how emotions of anger affects our logical thinking. So just to give you a small example, in our brain, there are two centers. One is here, which is the logical center or the logical brain, which is right behind this front bone. We call it as prefrontal cortex, part of the brain associated with logic, memory, judgment, insight, concentration, emotional control. And there is one center right here, just above and 1 centimeter in front of upper part of your pinna, the ear, which is known as the amygdala. It's a small, round, almond-like structure which is connected with emotions. Emotions. So this is emotional mind. This is logical mind. This doctor, Dr. Diego Pizzagalli, is from Harvard University, gave a very important principle. He says when this emotional center is overactive, it represses the prefrontal cortex and regulation of emotion. So the prefrontal cortex gets repressed and emotions gets unregulated. So you see here, when there is overactivity of the amygdala, it causes underactivity in the prefrontal cortex. This is a big science. This is a big science. Nowadays, people are afflicted by over emotions, and that too, negative ones: lust, anger, greed, attachments, and ego and pride. All these emotions, they suppress your logical mind. And that's why we say people have lost their common sense. What is common sense? The logical thinking. What is right, what is wrong? The judgment, the insight, the emotional control. Now there are memory issues, poor focus and concentration. Why? Because our emotional mind has gone berserk. It's just out of control. It's so overactive. And that's why in spirituality they have been termed as vices. Vices. Vices means which are toxins to our brain. And they are really so, as these toxins, these emotional toxins, influence or adversely affect our brain. And then there's a series of changes in the brain, and the process is known as rumination. What is rumination? Rumination means overthinking. You see, this word comes from when cow eats its food and later on it brings the food back to its mouth and just ruminates the food again and again, churns it, chews it, churns and chews it. Same way, a person with overactive emotions thinks, and it's mostly negative thinking because the logic part is shut down. So, in the whole world nowadays, the biggest problem is not diabetes or cancer, it's the problem of over negative thinking, isn't it? And this is because we have not worked on our emotions, the negative emotions. And that's why spirituality first works on removing these vices, the five vices: lust, anger, greed, attachment, and ego. And then only your logical mind, your intellectual mind can work better. Strange story of depression. Another very common problem is depression. I came across recently a man who said, "Doctor, I feel very empty inside, very empty inside." I said, "What is the problem? Do you have any physical health issues?" He said, "No, doctor, I'm all fine." So I asked, "Do you have any financial or relationship issues?" He said, "No, doctor, I have a good, decent family. I earn well." And I asked, "What is the reason?" He said, "Doctor, I don't know. That's what. Outside everything is good, but inside I feel restless. I feel empty. I don't feel that happiness inside. I remain sad. I don't enjoy things that I used to do earlier." And that is depression. We looked at why. Why is it happening? When there is no outside problems, why people are still depressed? And then there was a big invention, or I would say revolution in medical science: networking in the brain. Networking in the brain. It has been seen that brain has networks, and your networks decide the kind of emotions you will feel. So if this is the non-depressed network, and if the network changes to like this, it becomes depression. So outside situation actually have little impact. The inner networking of the brain, or in easier, simpler terms, you can see the mindset, the setting of your mind, the setting of your mind. The mind which has been set in a particular way decides your thinking and emotional patterns. And this is what is now the new neuroscience. Thinking and emotional patterns are there, which are formed in the brain. So if you see, they are the networks which gradually form with experiences. So then, in the same situation, people think and feel and behave differently. Same situation. Why? Because their networks have been so formed. This is known as conditioning of the mind. To the famous Pavlov experiment, dog's experiment, wherein scientist Pavlov, what he did is he took a dog and kept its favorite food. The dog salivated. Then he rang a bell, and nothing happened. And then, for a few days, he rang the bell and kept the food simultaneously. And then, after a few days, he just rang the bell, and the dog salivated with bell alone. With bell alone. Why? You would be the answer is very simple. All of you can guess it easily. Because he thought that the food will also come. Because there is a conditioning of the mind. Same way, same way. Our minds from the very childhood have been conditioned so, okay, this situation outside, my response is like this. Say, for example, a 2-year-old kid, he does not know anger, he does not know depression, but as he saw people around him, his parents, his elder brothers, peers, getting angry, getting sad, that sanskars, those patterns are formed in the brain. To give an example, I have my niece who is just 7 years old. She does not watch television or mobile. That's very, very uncommon in today's world. But why? Why other children are addicted to mobile phones? She is not. Her parents have trained her from the very beginning. No, these things are not good. They neither themselves watch themselves, so the kid also does not have that habit. And even if you're watching, no, she will say, no, this will harm your eyes. This is not good for you. Why? Because her wiring have been so. So thinking and emotional patterns are formed by, yes, genetics and then experiences. In today's world, we all know this is Iron Age. What is happening around all of us when we were kids, around our kids? We all know that. And that is forming their thought and emotional patterns. So, whatever we see, whatever we hear, actually forms our mind, thinking, and emotional pattern. I call it a brain library. Like you have library wherein there are books. Whatever book you read, the same thing goes to your mind. Same way, whatever you see, whatever you hear, those kind of thinking and emotional patterns get stored in your brain library. And the mind is just the thinking faculty. It picks up that pattern and creates thoughts accordingly. So thoughts are decided by what we see, we hear in our environment. And if we want to change them, we need to change the patterns of what we see, what we hear. So what we hear, what we see, scientifically, it creates firing in the brain, in the neurons. And when there's repeated firing, it creates wiring. And this phenomena, this principle was given by Dr. Donald Hebb in 1949. He said, neurons that fire together wire together. Whatever you think, see, and hear, it creates an electric impulse in the neurons. And over time, these neurons make connections, meaning thereby they become our thinking and emotional patterns. Raj Yoga works on this. It actually changes this bad wiring into divine wiring. What do I mean by wiring? The patterns, the networks in the brain which are formed of our thinking and feelings and behaving. Say, for example, these round ones are neurons and they are connected to each other. The black ones, they are the prominent active connections. So they represent various thinking and emotional patterns. So, say, for example, this black connection represents my emotion of getting jealous. So, this is active. While appreciation, the emotion or the quality or the virtue of appreciation is rather weak, inactive. So I will be mostly jealous. But if I change my this pattern to this pattern, then I will not be jealous, rather appreciate people. So it's like changing thought, emotional sanskar patterns, changing wiring in the brain. The same person looks same outside, but inside, either he can be devilish, he will be called as devil, not because he has horns, not because he has big teeth, but because he has devilish virtues, lust, anger, fascination, greed, jealousy, and ego. And while the same person, if he accrues the divine quality of love, happiness, peace, power, knowledge, plus purity within himself, we call him angelic person, divine person. So it's all here, not outside. Outside is the same. Our perception, our mindset, the setting of the mind decides our responses. And Raj Yoga rewires the wrong wiring to the right wiring. So again, coming back, how does it happen? So Raj Yoga works on the principle of neuroplasticity. Neuroplasticity means the brain can be changed. The patterns can be molded. How? Again, coming back to the same principle, nerves, neurons that fire together, wire together. Say, for example, these two tree-like structures, they are thoughts. So whenever a stimulus comes to me, something happens to me, somebody says to me something, two kind of thoughts comes to me. Maybe a good thought, maybe a bad thought. These two thoughts come to our mind. Whatever thought I allow, whatever thought I allow, it creates an impulse in the brain. Say, for example, I allow this thought, maybe not a very good thought, I allow this thought. So it will go this way, the bad circuit way. So this is a bad circuit. The down one is the good circuit. And it, over time, creates wiring. And then it becomes my sanskar. So thoughts over time create sanskar. They could be bad or they could be good. So if I repeatedly think bad, I'm very stressed. I'm an angry person. I'm not very good at something. I'm very egoistic. This person is very egoistic. Thinking repeatedly, that makes my sanskar. It means what I think, I slowly become. And that's what spirituality says. What you think repeatedly, you become. Right? And if I use it to my benefit, if I think repeatedly positive, I become like that. I become like that. So there is three-step process of neuroplasticity. If I want to change any of my patterns of thinking, emotionally, feeling, and behaving, I can easily change it. It's a three-step process. First of all, I have to know what is the right thing, then believe, yes, it is the right thing. And then comes the execution part. Right knowledge is very crucial. So, Raj Yoga, the first thing is right knowledge. It's not meditation alone. Right knowledge of who am I, not this body, but the soul, my original virtues being love, peace, happiness, bliss, knowledge, power, etc., and not the evilish or devilish virtues. Right knowledge about who is God. He's not the one who gets angry, he's not the one who punishes, but rather a formless entity who is always positive. How the word Brahma, the karmic theory, why something are happening to me? Why should I behave nice to even those who are bad to me? Importance of divinity. We have amply seen how stress, how anger, how depression, how evilish or devilish qualities in my life have actually ruined my physical, mental, social life, taken away my happiness, my health, my wealth, and divinity returns back all of them. So, meditation is the execution part. Once you accrue knowledge, the true knowledge, and then firmly believe, yes, divinity is the true productive way of living, whatever may the world do. But if I am divine here, I will always be happy, healthy, and wealthy. Then I embark upon this journey. Meditation is the process of firing the neurons to create that wiring, to create that pattern. So, what do we do in meditation, Raj Yoga meditation? We consciously create thoughts of purity, positivity, power, love, peace, happiness. And what is the role of God? Taking God as the embodiment of all these virtues. It's easier to feel these virtues, to think about these virtues by having some embodiment, and God is the ocean of all these qualities. So when we think about God, we're actually thinking about these virtues automatically, and these activate these sanskars, these patterns in our brain. So it's a connect, the spiritual scientific connect, how spirituality actually works on brain, the science of it. So there are three-step process: contemplation, the thinking part, concentration, actively thinking, focusing, and then realization. You actually become that. So what you think, you become. Raj Yoga says, think positive, think divine, you will become divine, and divinity will reward you with health, happiness, and wealth. This is as simple as that. So I always remember, I always think me as a soul, not as a body, because these virtues are not associated with the body. If I think I'm a body, I'm more concerned about physical wealth, physical relationships, ignoring these virtues. And ignoring these virtues actually ruins my physical world also. So going back to the basics, being in the soul conscious state, and I always remember these are my original attributes. I always practice that. But this is not alone sufficient. I call it 3-in-1 approach. What is this 3-in-1 approach? If I ask you, who are you? You will say, I am the soul. But are you one or three? I will say, you are 3-in-1. You are one soul, but three forms. This article was recently published 2022 and looked at the three parts of I. When I say myself, the soul, the three parts are self, me, and I. Let me just explain to you. It's a self triad. So when I witness this world like an observer, it's the self part of me, the self. I'm not involved in any action, it's the self. When I receive something from somebody, when somebody says something to me or does something to me, it's the me part. And when I actually reflect back, I say something, I respond back, this is the I part. So three parts I am playing at different points of time. The problem is we intermix them. Say, for example, when somebody says something bad to me or gives something not so good things to me, if I don't care, I cannot give back the right thing. Because if I receive pain, I consume pain. It's very difficult for me to give happiness to others. And this is what exactly is happening in the world. People deliberately don't want to give pain to others, don't want to show anger. But when they consume others' pain, others' miscreants, or others' anger, they are not able to deliver it back. So you have to be very careful while interacting in this world, which form you have to use when. So when you are in this world, there are so many things happening in the world out, good things, bad things, all kind of weird things. Just be yourself, be your self part, like an observer. Gyan or knowledge, spiritual knowledge says, be a spectator, be an observer, sakshi, drishta. Don't get involved. It's not your business. Otherwise, you will also consume their negativity. But what if somebody comes to me and I have to directly interact with such kind of people, negative people? Then, before you go to the I part, you have to take care you don't consume their negativity. And this can only be done by exercising these eight powers. You know, then the power to tolerate, the power to accommodate, the power to discriminate, the power to judge, power to face, power to cooperate, power to withdraw in situations, power to back up. I'll not go into the details, you know, all of you know them. That's why the importance of eight powers, so that you can dodge outside negativity. And then only you will be able to exercise the I, the good virtues you will be able to deliver back. That's why the importance of both the good virtues as well as the eight powers in this confluence age. Coming to some important things which a Raj Yogi also takes care of. Not just meditation, not just knowledge, he also takes care of sattvic food. Previously, as doctors, as allopathic doctors, we didn't really used to believe in sattvic diet influence on the mind. But now it is amply shown about the gut brain axis. Let me just show you this recent article published in 2024, October. Gut brain axis appears to play a critical role in aggression. So, what the scientists did is they took the bacteria, the microflora from the gut of a person who was aggressive and implanted those in the mice, and they saw that over time these mice also became aggressive. Similarly, symptoms of anxiety induced in mice by transplanting gut microbiota from humans with social anxiety. And you know, these microbiota are formed, the type of microbiota, these are formed by the type of food which we consume. So the type of food which we consume decides microbiota, and these microbiota decides our thinking and emotional patterns. And that's why sattvic food helps you to be more peaceful, more happy. Music, everybody loves music, but music can be a double-edged sword. Nowadays, we have music which has content like lust, anger, hate, that creates those emotional patterns. When we listen to them, we, in the garb of getting pleasure, we also consume those negative virtues. While on the other hand, it has been shown certain music like Om chanting, like spiritual music, they have healing and positive effect on the mind. So much so that they are even used in ICUs in the hospitals to recover, to hasten the recovery process. So take care of what you listen to the music because music directly goes into those emotions. Sleep. Nowadays, people wake up late. They watch mobile, they watch television, they sleep late. But you know what? Sleep is very important for your brain to detox itself. Yes, the brain detox itself only in sleep. If you have inadequate sleep, then the brain has toxins. Toxins means it cannot think rationally, it cannot feel rationally. And that's why it is sad. The old good saying, early to bed, early to rise, makes a man healthy, wealthy, and wise. That is so true and scientific. So, dear brothers and sisters, spirituality, it talks of zero or zero negative or waste thoughts. Why? Because thoughts are the precursors to our mindset. The kind of thoughts we create actually create our thought and emotional patterns. And these thoughts are based on knowledge we accrue, experiences we have. So, with the right knowledge and by meditation, we can ignite, we can reactivate, we can rewire our good divine neurons. In other words, we can make our mind a gold mine, a golden brain. So the first change, divinity happens here, and then it is outside. When everybody's brain is like this, think of a world when everybody's brain is like this, full of love, peace, happiness, no place for anger, greed, ego, attachment. It creates a world which is known as the golden age. This is the concept of golden age, and this is the concept of Rajyoga. Changing the thought patterns, changing the thoughts, change your emotions and behavior outside in the same situation. The situations change as per our thought patterns, not the other way around. The biggest mistake people are doing is they're allowing situations to decide on their thoughts. While Raj Yoga makes you empowered, it empowers you to be the master of your thoughts. And with the right knowledge of what are the right thoughts, you start creating the right thoughts that creates the right emotions, the right behaviors, and the world changes. The world changes. A beautiful world. That is the concept of golden age. So golden age is first the gold mine. When you mind your mind with divinity, the outside world becomes so beautiful. And this is the connect of science with spirituality. This is all from me. Thank you very much. Om Shanti.
Yeah, may I now invite questions or any
Om Shanti. We can
queries? Yeah,
invite. Yeah, Om Bhai. Go ahead.
yeah, yeah. So I just could relate the insights with the I have read a book since childhood, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. So there were these concepts were brought out there, but these that scientific connect, the connect with the proof, the practical proof through the research, medical research has been brought out by Dr. Gupta Bhaiji, and it was a great, insightful knowledge about the practical aspects and how the spirituality is connected with science. So,
Yeah, so you just talked about
very
Napoleon
interesting.
Hill. I will share one excerpt from his book. So, where he described that what he did is he actually created an imaginary council of nine most influential people of US.
Yes,
He would just in his imagination talk to them. In his imagination, he would visualize he's sitting with them and he's talking to them about their success stories, the qualities, the virtues which brought them this success. And eventually, over weeks, he found that he's having those qualities within himself as well.
true.
This is the power of thoughts, power of visualization. And we, as spiritual children of the Almighty, have this privilege of the highest knowledge which nobody has in this world. And if we just do that visualization, which is the Rajyoga meditation process, we can transform to anything, to the deities, which is the angel.
Yes, yes. Thank you, Bhaiji. Any question? Anyone like to
Om
ask?
Yeah,
Shanti.
Yeah.
just
Om
one
Shanti.
small thing, doctor. This placebo thinking which you spoke of, I think it was because of placebo thinking all this Napoleon Hills, Norman Vincent Peale, and all other the Spinoza philosophy came up. But for me, I feel placebo thinking is more, we call it as a fake treatment with real response. And some people still say it is amazing. It's not known how does it works. It's that was a time when placebo thinking was introduced. I don't remember the year. I think 1800 or so, when it was started. That was the first time when the MBC, the mind body connection, was realized. There is no logic at all. It'll never lower your cholesterol or it'll never shrink your tumor, they say. But still, placebo thinking worked. But how long? If there is something outside to stop that placebo thinking, to say, hey, this is all fake, the body is much more important. That's what's when there is a real body problem, when there is no, just mind problem. Don't you think placebo thinking will backfire? Because we
So,
just give
mhm,
good thoughts. Your days are better when you uh, count your blessings rather than counting your problems. I think it's just a psycho effect. But how long can this
yeah,
incredibility of the magical part of the brain work? Of
yeah,
course, I know the brain is the best gold mine with divinity. But can you see? Tell me, placebo effect is
yeah.
lasting? How long?
So I'll share you two real stories. In US, there was a lady who was just 26. She was actually a celebrity who was suffering from a disease, multiple sclerosis. It's a bad disease where she would get paralytic attacks 4 to 5 times in a year, and she would become disabled. No medicine was working on her. So there was a new medicine launched by a company, and she was enrolled in the trial. She decided to be enrolled in the trial. They said, you might get benefit, you might not get benefit. It's a new investigational trial. So she said, okay, anyways, I'm not getting benefit from any of the drugs either. So she enrolled, and next 3 years, she didn't have even a single attack. This pill worked wonder as wonderful for her. She was very happy. But after 3 years, the drug trial was stopped. It was the rule, and she was stopped medicines. She filed a lawsuit in US court. How can you stop my medicine? How can you deprive me of something which is working so good for me? It's unethical. And now the case went to the highest court because on one side there was law, because it was a drug trial. You cannot go on giving it indefinitely. It was a kind of research. And on the other hand, there was ethics. How can you deprive a person from its good living? Of course, ethics win. The court said you have to give this lady this medicine. And when the company opened the folders, it found she was actually in the placebo arm. So whenever a drug trial is conducted, one of the subset is given the medicine, one of the subset is given placebo. Why? It has been shown that placebo, the very thought that I am being given some medicines, at least has 30% effect in patients. This is well documented. And she was actually receiving placebo. What was it? She was not even receiving the active medicine. Cancer patients, second example. You know what? They're incurable diseases. But when they practice this positive emotional healing, their pain perception decreases as compared in the same lines as if they are receiving opioid analgesics. Why? Because when we think positive, there is release of endogenous opioids, which are known as cannabinoids. You can search about it in the internet. This is the power of thoughts. Thoughts actually fire your neurons to release certain type of neurohormones. It's not just a psychic effect. The psychic is getting converted into physical hormones. So much so. You read about a hormone, I didn't talk about it in the lecture, Anandamide, Anandamide. It is released when somebody meditates, and it's an endogenous endocannabinoid, which gives you happiness, like serotonin, like endorphins. Why? Because when you create that thought, these thoughts fire or activate those neurons to release these happy hormones. So it's not just, this is the connect between our thoughts and the body, psychic and the soma. Psychic means at the thought level, soma means this body. This is a big thing, which was actually known to medical science some 300 years back. But over in last 300 years, when we became so much physical, we actually ignored this. We talk of faith healers. Doesn't people get better with faith healers? How? Faith healers don't give appropriate medicines. They just do healing by faith. It's a big science. So I'm not saying don't take medicines. This is not the message I want to pass on. Medicines are important. They work on the physical aspect. But if you have a positive psychic, if you believe your doctor, if you believe your medicines will work, if you believe you will get better with a strong conviction, the chances are much more that you will get better rather than if you don't trust your doctor, you don't trust you will get better, the chances are you will not get better. The chances are more. There's so many examples. So I want to emphasize, along with pills, which we all take, always also have a positive mindset, a happy mindset that will aid in healing. I hope I made my point clear to you.
Yeah, Kalpesh bhai, you wish to ask a question? You
Yeah.
intended?
Om Shanti. There are a lot of peoples who are surviving, living in that zone. The always in the you say the anger and low emotions with the people. So, can you tell me, Miss, how can we fast convert them? As you said that in 7 days you heal that person, and you and make him to walk. So like that, suppose if someone is growth mind, suppose growth he has to do. So how can we, in what time we can make people to miss and success path?
Right. So, for example, I tell you, people come to me with fever and they say, Doctor, do I have tuberculosis? Do I have cancer? I said, why do you think so? They say, my neighbor who had fever just died of cancer. He had TB, he had fever, and he was diagnosed as tuberculosis. Don't think every fever is a cancer or tuberculosis. No, the symptom may look the same, but the disease may be totally different. Don't extrapolate this person's illness to everybody else with the same problem. The symptom may look the same, the disease may be totally different. In this case, it was totally at the level of psychic. His all blood and radiological tests were absolutely normal. Were absolutely normal. You cannot compare this symptom with another person with the same symptom but different disease. No. That's why I said there is no one single answer. It is not 7 days for all of us. And I must say, physical diseases, depending on the disease type, may or may not improve. The important point to understand is over these years, we have been so much engrossed in physical maneuvers, we have forgotten the power of thoughts, positive, healing, happiness. Don't you think we have accepted stress, anger, grief as normal part and parcel of our lives? That is what needs to be rethink about. These are not normal, they are abnormal states of mind. Like fever is not normal. You can't say, I'm having fever, I'm physically healthy. No. Same way, when there is these vices, anger, greed, jealousy, ego, stress, depression, they are not normal, they are diseases of the emotional mind. And when you are diseased, you cannot be fine. Raj Yoga actually works on your emotional mind. It tells you you get over these vices, accrue the divine qualities, and then these divine qualities will even make your physical health better. This I can say as a doctor. But not only just physical health, it, all of us have experienced when we are happy, when we are content, when we are cordial with our relationships also grow. Then we can also accrue good wealth. Why? Because, when emotional mind is negative, the logic brain can also not work. And you cannot focus, you cannot concentrate on your work, on your studies, and your grades fall, your business comes down. That is what spirituality is the core. And what it says, it just says, don't be a diseased spirit or a soul. And the diseased soul is one who has all these vices. This is what I gather from Raj Yoga knowledge.
Shanti. Yeah. Doctor, this placebo effect. So between young and the old, is there a difference? Because we know, for young, the brain is young, and the old one, the brain is old. So, and if you look at the world, the society, so nowadays children are growing with a lot of, smartphone and everything is smart. Whereas the old one, some of them, they just started using it. So that's one way people get polluted easily, right? So if you look at from this point, placebo effect point, so how the effect is on a young one and also a old one.
Yeah, that is one of the very important points you have highlighted. Like I showed you the brain library. Whatever we see, whatever we hear, creates those patterns in the brain, creates those patterns. So when people are watching web series where it is shown anger on trivial issues, rage, jealousy, hatred, killings, it is inculcating those virtues inside my brain library. And that's why nowadays children are, all know, they're so impatient. They get angry so easily. They have no control over their emotions. They get irritated over small issues. And this is the mobile era. So it's very important we regulate the content because content makes our mindset. Content makes our mindset. On the other hand, if you give them this spiritual knowledge at least 1 hour in a day, which all of you are doing, following this Raj Yoga lifestyle, reading those godly verses, godly versions daily, what it is making, those versions are making your mindset. Same situation, you are patient, you are calm, you don't panic. It's making a mindset. It actually really does not depend on the age group. It actually depends on the exposure. Even an old person, if he exposes himself to all these things, his mindset will also become like that. But yes, the difference comes children, their mindset is in the forming phase or in the growing phase, which I showed that diagram wherein those networks are being formed. So they are the children are in their formative years. It is all the more reason if you expose your children to good content, then good circuits form. While in an old person, the old circuits have already been formed. So this content will not really have that much impact on an older individual as compared to a younger individual whose circuits, whose patterns are being formed. So whatever they are exposed to, it's being formed. It's all the more reason you expose your children to spiritual knowledge. And spiritual knowledge is not about taking a rosary or chanting mantras. It's about listening and experiencing those divine virtues. And once you form that circuits, I told you about the example of my niece, no? She's just 7. From the very beginning, how she's trained to stay away from mobile addiction. And now it will stay for a long time because that impression has been created in her mind. So, yes, children, because their circuits are being formed, content has much more influence on children more than adults or elderly people.
Thank you. Thank you, Doctor.
Uh, Dr. Gupta ji,
Yes,
this
Swapan
is
bhai.
on chat box. There is a request from Girija sister about can you share a link where we could study more about this connect between Raj Yoga and the psyche, basically mind and psychosomatic effects.
Right. So, because I have studied brain science in depth over last, you can say, 12, 13 years. So, brain is not easy to understand. And brain is so intricate, so complex. So, I will not suggest you go into the depths of neurosciences as such, but I can assure you, if you practice Raj Yoga, you might not know the terms which I used, but you will be as good as I have this knowledge. The only thing which I did is connecting Raj Yoga concepts with modern science. to make modern people who want to understand with these scientific concepts, this spiritual practices, the spiritual knowledge. But if you really want to understand, I have my channel, Brain Rewire. You can just type in YouTube Brain Rewire of Swapan Gupta. I have made a series of small lectures, maybe 25 to 30 minutes, wherein I have explained the connect between medical science or the neuroscience with spiritual concepts. Otherwise, because this is so complex, and once you go deep into it, you might not be able to understand because there's so many complex terms, nomenclatures, difficult. But just to impress upon, spirituality is the highest neuroscience. I've just shown you through the lens of neuroscience, that's it. But all these concepts are Rajyoga concepts. None of these concepts are separate or different or any new apart from Rajyoga.
Yeah, thank you. Uh, so, Rakhi sister, do we
Let's
need
take one last
meditation?
question.
Yeah,
There's one
yeah,
last question from Pramila Ben, and
yeah.
we're taking little more time from your Sapan Bhai, but it's an interesting question where she comes up asking, does all this apply to yoga nahi lagta? How much sleep does one need?
Yog nahi lagta means she's not able to meditate. So, and how much
Yeah.
sleep does she need? So, I would say it's not the number of hours, but it's the quality of sleep. You know what is happening in sleep? It's not the body is resting, it's the mind which has to rest. Why mind only detoxifies itself during sleep? Okay, I'll just give you a small example and you will be able to understand. Say, for example, in a room, there are 10 people sitting, right? And the maid comes to clean up the room. Will she be able to clean up the room nicely? Tell me, Sister Raki, what do you think? 10 people
No,
sitting in the room. Oh,
no,
why?
no. They typically would say, please move to the other room. We would want to clean this.
Correct. The brain, the mind is constantly working throughout the day. Throughout the day, it's constantly working. It cannot clean itself. It only cleans itself, detoxifies itself when it is not at work, when no thoughts or minimal thoughts are there. The persons are the thoughts or the work processes in the brain. Now, people who have constantly their thoughts on and on and on, even they are lying down at night. They're actually not sleeping. Sleeping means their mind should be silent. So they don't get up fresh even after 8 to 10 hours of sleep. Why? Because mind did not detoxify itself. It could not. The thoughts were going on and on. And that is the problem of today's generation. They 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 watch mobile night and they don't silence their mind. And the mind is constantly having thoughts. And they are not getting a good fresh sleep even after 8 hours or 10 hours. While a yogi, a meditator, while he meditates before going to sleep, meditation, he slows down the speed of the mind and brings thoughts to almost zero. So, what all of us do, we go to the soul world, bring our thoughts to almost zero. Just detach yourself from this body and all the works around, and then sleep off in that silence. Then mind can do its cleaning work very fast. So even 4 to 5 hours of yogic sleep, and this is known as yog nidra. So yog nidra is nothing. It's actually slowing down your mind from gear to 5 to gear 1 or 0, and then in that highest elevated state, that complete resting state, when you sleep off, the mind is able to detoxify itself faster and you get up fresh early. So I will say It's not really the number of hours which is important. Yes, they are, but not really so. The quality of sleep is much, much more important.
Okay,
I
that
hope that answers her question.
I would just
yes.
briefly summarize before Dr. Gupta, you can take a 1 minute meditation for the benefit of everyone. Uh, Today's was a wonderful session, where you got the insights into the how the mind and body are interconnected, and how the science and spirituality are very much interconnected. Spirituality is a perfect science, where and you brought out what we see, hear, and think repeatedly decides the mind patterns or the thought patterns, which is also called as a mindset. And that's what the neurons which fire together wire together, they make it's up to us how to have good habits, positive habits, which can create a gold mine, which can convert the iron aged mind into the golden aged mind in our mind. And that's what changes our life and the world around us. And now I would like to thank you for the entire wonderful session. May I now I invite you to just conduct 1 minute meditation before we call off the session. Thank you,
You
Dr.
very
Gupta.
nicely summarized everything. Yes, put everything together very nicely. Okay, so let us just fire our good neurons, the divine neurons. Meditation is nothing but reactivating or rewiring our good divine neurons so that we become divine inside. Just pause out from the outside world and focus your attention on the energy which is running this physical body, the soul. And just take a look at the innate, inherent virtues of this soul. Soul, I, the soul, child of the Supreme Soul, who is always happy, content, pure, peaceful, powerful, loveful, blissful, knowledgeful. So am I, being his child. I am also a loveful soul, a peaceful soul, a blissful soul, a pure soul. And these divine virtues makes my life beautiful. Challenges are outside. I am stable. Anger, lust, greed may be outside, but I am always in my divinity. Divinity is bliss. Divinity is rewarding. Divinity is life. I thank the Almighty for bestowing me His choicest of the blessings and blessing me with this rare, precious knowledge and blessing to live a fruitful, productive, divine life. Om Shanti. Thank you. Om Shanti.
Thank you, Dr. Swapan Gupta ji, Bhaiji. And thank you, Divine Family, for asking good questions. And thank you, Baba, for conducting such a wonderful session. Let's all meet tomorrow at 5 a.m. for tomorrow's Avec Purli session. Thank you, everyone. Om Shanti.
Om Shanti.